and triggered the bailout by the taxpayers. The court proceedings took 3 years, clearly not rapid or orderly. But Lehman was tiny compared to today's biggest banks. When it failed, Lehman had $639 billion in assets. Today, J.P. Morgan has nearly $2.5 trillion in assets. That's 4 times as big as Lehman was when it failed. Lehman had 209 registered subsidiaries when it failed. J.P. Morgan, I really almost couldn't believe this when I read it. J.P. Morgan today has 3,391 subsidiaries. That's more than 15 times the number of subsidiaries that Lehman had when it failed. 3 years to resolve Lehman. Now, J.P. Morgan has filed resolution plans in each of the last 3 years, and the Fed hasn't rejected any of them as not credible. Given our recent experience with the bankruptcy of Lehman Brothers, can you honestly say that J.P. Morgan could be resolved in a rapid and orderly fashion as described in its plans with no threats to the economy and no need for a taxpayer bailout?
In fact, the firms have now submitted a 3rd round of plans.
I'm sorry, Chairman. I'm just a little bit confused. J.P. Morgan submitted a round of plans in 2012, and my understanding is that neither the Fed nor the FDIC said that those plans were not credible. It then submitted plans in 2013, and neither the Fed nor the FDIC said they were not credible, and it has submitted plans in 2014. The plans are designed not just to be reviewed by the Fed and the FDIC, but also to bring some kind of confidence to the marketplace and to the American taxpayer that, in fact, there really is a plan for doing something if one of these banks starts to implode. You said that these plans run to the tens of thousands of pages. All I can say is that what's been released to the public is 35 pages long. That's about 1 page for every 100 subsidiaries that have to be dealt with. I think that the plans that have been released by these companies have not been something that the public can look at and say, yeah, I see that they've got a plan to get through this.
And, people are talking about how falling oil prices are going to help the consumer. Well, look, oil prices fell from $150 a barrel down to $32 a barrel in 2008. That helped the consumer, too. But it didn't stop the financial crisis. It didn't stop the Great Recession.
Do we all work for central bankers? That's what I want to address to our guest tonight. To answer your question, we are absolutely slaves to central banks, and we'd love to be slaves of the economy, but the economic numbers continue to do nothing but trend lower.
The Molon Lave Silver Coin, certified by the Provident Mint. This 1-ounce silver round is 0.999% fine silver, inspired by the legendary Spartan king Leonidas and his refusal to lay down arms in defiance of Emperor Xerxes. Molon Lave, that's Greek for come and take it. This is available now at INFOWARSstore.com. Act now as supplies are limited. And don't forget, free shipping and a free gift. That's INFOWARSstore.com.
For all of recorded history, civilizations around the world praised the health benefits of silver. At InfoWars Life, our mission is to bring you the highest quality, purest, cleanest, effective colloidal silver on the market today for the lowest price available. You don't have to be a doctor to know. The fall and winter months are the most dangerous time of year in North America when it comes to you and your family's health. InfoWarsLife.com is very excited to announce our biggest run yet of Silver Bullet colloidal silver, exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com. Now, InfoWarsLife.com has taken colloidal silver to the next level using a cutting-edge technique that is free of toxic artificial additives. Now more than ever, it's important to stock up on high-quality Silver Bullet from InfoWarsLife.com and to help others during Christmas by teaching them about the powerful benefits of silver. Secure your Silver Bullet today at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
Rob Dew from INFOWARS.com here with a report, well, more of a prediction of what's going to happen in 2015. My prediction is that we're going to be eating a lot more bugs. And if you've looked at the news in just the last 2 months, it's filled with articles about how bugs are good for us and how they're a great source of protein and just really good for you, and the UN says to do it. But if you remember back in 2013, we put out a video called INFOWARS Reporter Eats Bug at UN Request. And there you can see me chomping on a poor little grasshopper because the UN told me I needed to do it because I'm the problem. The UN now says, why not eat more insects? Yeah, that's right. The Food and Agriculture Organization on Monday hailed the likes of grasshoppers, ants, and other members of the insect world as an underutilized food for people, livestock, and pets. A 200-page report released at a news conference at the UN's agency in Rome says 2 billion people worldwide already supplement their diets with insects, which are high in protein, minerals, and have environmental benefits. So why not give that to the Western world? Well, you know, they're going to lower our standard of living, so in a few years we are going to be wandering the fields looking for grasshoppers and crickets and beetles and anything to get that nutritional sustenance that we desire. And it's an inherent desire. My dad's been to China several times, and he has always made this observation. I don't see any stray cats. I don't see any squirrels in the trees. I don't see any birds flying around the city. In fact, I rarely even see bugs, he told me, because, let me tell you, the people in China eat everything because their food is controlled by the government. And when you have government control, you always have starvation, you always have scarcity of resources, and you always have the elites being able to circumvent any type of process, and they always get theirs. That's right. Remember, you're always the problem when it comes to the UN, and therefore eating bugs is the solution. Here's another video we put out in March of 2014. Man buys pizza filled with bugs, and this is something Alex Jones and his cousin Buckley put together when they went to a fair.
Folks, we're going with the mealworm. My goodness, thank you so much, sir.
$13?
Great, $13 for a succulent. So these cost more than a regular pizza.
Yeah, they're $8 a slice.
So these are even more powerful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I do this only to prove myself. For Bill Gates, so we can have more jets, and for Al Gore, I want to buy carbon taxes. Honey, do you want one?
No.
That is an extremist. Sir, please come over here. That was an extremist response, that young girl being horrified by eating bugs. It's a conspiracy that women ever breastfed their children. It's a conspiracy that IQs were ever above 70. It's a conspiracy that geoengineering is not a problem. It's a conspiracy that vaccines are brain damaging you or fluoride. The answer, ladies and gentlemen, to everything is
GMO millworm pizza.
The GMO millworm pizza, combining the best of Bill Gates' GMO. Ladies and gentlemen, in the name of trendiness, delicious.
Well, let's look at these articles. Every one of these articles except one is from December or late November of this year. Gizmodo. Are insects the future of food? Nordic Food Lab, a nonprofit culinary research institute, is on a 3-year effort to turn insects, the creepy crawlies that most of us squash without a second thought, into tasty, craveable treats. Have you ever heard of the conference Insects Feed the World? Well, it's a 3-day conference used to promote the use of insects as human food and animal feed in assuring food security.
Insects to Feed the World is the ambitious title of this first international conference on insects, and your program makes clear that the fledgling world insect community has big plans to make a contribution to sustainability of our food system and the global food supply.
Insects are chock full of protein and essential micronutrients such as iron and zinc. A single kilogram of feed yields 12 times more edible cricket protein than beef. United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, became interested in the role of insects as food security about a decade ago after documenting the significant part that insects play in Central African diets. That's right, you go to almost any country outside the U.S., even Mexico, and they have mealworms, crickets, covered in different spices and stuff, but people do eat these as protein. And I'm not saying it's bad, but when the UN is telling you you have to do it to save the planet, there's something up. And it's usually not anything good for the human race.
What we really need is an internationally agreed safety framework for the use of insects.
We are actively involved in drafting legislation on food and feed safety.
Next article from Mail Online. grasshopper-crusted shrimp tacos with a side of scorpion guacamole. Upscale restaurants offering a menu that is crawling with bizarre bug delicacies. And this is how they roll things out. They bring them to upscale, trendy places and say, look at the trendy people. They're eating the bugs. You need to eat the bugs now. All right? You're probably already eating bugs, though, just to let you know. If you're eating hot dogs or any other processed food where they allow actually certain amounts of bugs and even rat droppings into the mixes that they make of these things. There's a certain allowable amount. So you've probably been eating all this stuff anyway, but now they're gonna make you do it and you're gonna see it in all of its glory. Here's one out of Man Cave Daily. Get ready to eat insects. 50% of all television programs are now food programs. And they talk about now all these television programs are showing people eating bugs. That's the big thing, the big trend on these things. So you're gonna see it on TV, then you're gonna go to the restaurant and see it. It's the trendy areas, everybody's doing it, so why don't you do it too? It's all part of the mind control that the mainstream media likes to run on you. The most dramatic faces are pulled when they're asked to eat insects. He's talking about the people in these food programs. People who happily eat hot dogs at home, meaning they've consumed more insect and rat than sewer-dwelling mutants, but ask them to eat a bug and they react like a preschooler being asked to kiss a cockroach. Anyone squeamish about eating insects is going to have to get over it.
At this moment we have 7 billion people, and in 2050 we'll grow until 9 billion.
Right now we know that 70 countries in the world are in a state of dire food insecurity.
And forget the luxury of vegetarianism or avoiding animals because your imaginary friend doesn't like them. Pretty soon, refusing to eat anything will be on par with having your own castle, which means it's not going to exist. Your people are going to be eating anything and everything. Scorpion on a stick, rat on a stick, anything on a stick. They'll sell it at a fair and you'll definitely be eating it. Here's another one. After the apocalypse, this is what we'd eat. This is actually a pretty interesting article. What would happen if there was a catastrophic event in the world? What would we be able to do? Well, there's a doctor that said we can actually, after we use all our canned food stockpiles and stuff, we can actually convert existing fossil fuels to food by growing bacteria on top of them, and then we either eat the bacterial slime or feed it to rats and bugs and then eat them. I guess all is not going to be so bad if there is an apocalypse. Now, here's our last article from November. These are all from December and November. Should you be eating crickets? And this talks about cricket flour. This is a new thing people are making, and they're cooking all kinds of things with it. It is gluten-free, though, by the way, so for all you health-conscious people out there, might not be a bad idea to get into cricket flour. And here's a word you're going to be hearing a lot in the future, anthropoentomophagy. The use of insects as human food, the answer to feeding a growing global population in the world whose climate is going bonkers. And just to let you know, this is going trendy style. JetBlue is serving now cricket protein bars to passengers. So JetBlue is definitely the trendiest airline, although I do like them because they offer you to get one bag on for free. Now they're serving cricket bars. What does that mean? Insects are coming into the mainstream here in the United States, and don't be surprised that any restaurant you go into in the next few years is going to be having, and especially in 2015, is going to be having these things on the menus. Now, whether people eat them or not, and whether this thing becomes a moneymaker, that remains to be seen. But one thing is for sure, they are going to be pushing this on the people.
I had an agency within the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and our whole interest is ensuring food security for the United States and for the rest of the world as well.
And if you ever have seen the film Snowpiercer, which is kind of a collectivist dream of people being stuck on a train that travels around the world in a giant loop, these people are eating protein bars, and when they finally break through to the other side and see what's behind the curtain, they find the protein bars are actually made out of mashed up insects. So it's definitely not a far-fetched plan out there. The UN would love to see us all feasting on insects while they're eating beef and chicken and pork and all the other meats while we're left eating insects. That's all we have for this report. If you like this and other reports, please consider becoming a member of prisonplanet.tv. And you could get a membership right now for $29.95, and you could share that with up to 20 people at the same time. So what are you waiting for? Please log on to prisonplanet.com and become a member today. Thank you. This has been Rob Dew reporting for INFOWARS.com. We'll see you next time.
We do what's trendy. That means jumping off a cliff, we do it. That means turning our guns in, we do it. Whatever the government says, we do it. The state runs our lives. The state runs our children. The state is God.
That's it for the show tonight. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you here again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central.
In the past decade, we have witnessed unparalleled scientific discoveries in the area of health, but no one has put together a